we should just start with, given we're here and we're just opposite the church now, what today is about. So this is a new public holiday in Georgia, Family Day.
So Family Day, I want to congratulate this day to everyone who are celebrating it, and not only Christian or any other religions, those who are standing like guards and soldiers, keeping the values of the families. I want to congratulate worldwide everyone who are enjoying the day and who are also keeping and ensuring the values for developing the strong family, which at the same time means the strong state.
A strong family means a strong state.
This is
why is that? They're
well,
not necessarily
Napoleon.
the same thing. Huh?
Napoleon once told that when you have a strong family, that means strong familyhood means strong statehood. So this is something where you have the strong, the core values which are kept, and what you do in your family, it is then accelerated and expressed to the to your daily work or anything, and then this is translated to the strong statehood.
And why is this a public holiday this year all of a sudden? I mean, it's not been a public holiday before.
Well, there was a decision of the prime minister, and I guess it was good. So I saw some of the people who were enjoying that it was a holiday because they wanted to join the celebration. And I guess today, when we are talking, and it's not only in Georgia but worldwide, when we see that this became more and more important to remind people about the key values of the family.
Well, the accusation is, indeed, we were talking to one of your political opponents earlier, the accusation is more that the government wanted to get its own people onto the streets to show that they have support versus the people who've been on the streets in recent weeks.
That can be one translation, but this is, well, that can be also meant that, I mean, this is a freedom of choice, and today... Oh, okay. I mean, it was a freedom of choice. So those who want to come out, they came. Definitely, the holiday helped them to be maybe even more representatives to join, because otherwise they would be kind of coming out on a break or so, or they would not be able to come to join and celebrate. But I guess this was also a highlight and good demonstration to remind, not only in Georgia, but also join the world movement about keeping these values.
So we've spoken to some of those young people who have been out night after night protesting against your government, your party, your foreign agents law. And they feel very, very deeply, whether you think they're right or wrong, I'm sure you think they're wrong, but they feel very deeply that Georgian democracy is under threat as a result of your proposed changes. Why are they wrong?
Well, I have to say that in the streets we see the people who some of them are really believing in that there is a threat. I love the evidences, and when you look at the evidences, and this is evidence of a 12 years work of the Georgian Dream. And if you look at the evidences, you see that Georgia has never been so democratic, and democracy of Georgia has never been to that level when we are now, and Georgia has never been so close to Europe as it's now.
Well, they say that with this law, your government will be able to use it to shut down dissent, to shut down organizations that they don't like. So if it's so democratic, as you say, why do you need it?
It has one major article which says about annual declaration of NGOs, who are 25,000 in our country, which is the highest and largest per capita comparing to all other European and other countries. And this means that in a white with a black alphabet, it says that you just have to declare where you have from where you have received money, what is the purpose, and what is the amount. And I have been representative of NGO, and I would be very happy to declare what I was doing when working in the NGO.
But they say that it's based upon a Russian law.
So this
Vladimir
is again
Putin.
the stigmatization, and if we look who has branded this law with the stigma. And this is all about the stigmatization.
But Putin did have a law that was very similar.
Putin has the law. There is a written that they are able to sanction it the entities. They have also for individuals, which is not in our law.
But you know what the argument is? The argument is that it's a slippery slope. They don't trust you. They don't trust your party. They don't trust your government.
They have to look at the law. And when the law is way different from the Russian law.
But if that's the case, you've lost the argument, haven't you? Because you haven't just lost the argument with all of the people who've been turning out week after week. You've lost the argument with your allies.
Absolutely. But have you seen any argument like a jurisdiction or any argument which says that, well, this article is not in line with the democratic values or the Western
But it doesn't matter
values.
what I think. It's what the EU and the US
So
think.
that's the thing. I mean, we are very open, and our Prime Minister, as well as every high officials, me myself, I am requesting and asking my strategic partners and allies to explain what is the key, either wording or any step within the law which is not in line with the EU values. If, for instance, a German high representative tells me that this law is not in line with European values, and they themselves have exactly the same law,
But
that
is it
means
worth?
that there is a question.
Is it
right?
worth? But let's assume. I mean, you haven't been able to persuade the EU so far of what you're saying, and let's assume the EU doesn't change its mind. Is this law worth your country's accession to the EU?
We have guaranteed that we will be accessing EU because
No, but the EU, you can say that, but it's up to the EU, and the EU have said if this law passes, you're not joining.
Currently, we have the high level of representatives who even last year were telling us that we will not receive a candidate status if we do not release Mikhail Saakashvili from the prison or from the clinic.
So you think the EU's bluffing?
So it's not bluffing, but it's about trading, and the world politics is about trading. So we're saying, and if you look at the members of the EU, not every country is having the same guidelines or same reforms within each country.
No, but the EU is supposed to be a collection of democratic
definitely.
states.
So EU is providing us the key values. Then, and EU, when we're saying that we're entering the EU family, EU is also entering our families. So we're saying what are our key pillars, which we will not
with
behind
respect,
it.
I think you're sort of slightly proving your critics right, because your critics argue that you're talking out of both sides of your mouth, that you know that actually if you pass this law and other laws like it, the EU won't let you in. They're saying to you they're not going to let you in, and yet you're still saying, oh no, they will in time. You're misleading your public, your population.
So that's the thing. We have been achieving in these 12 years all the key milestones, which is the core milestone accessing to EU. And we are saying that we are coming in EU with all our, and when it's said, and the EU is saying that it's all about the merit-based decision. So for the merit-based decision, and if you look at the reform, if you look at daily work our parliament, you'll see that we're coming closer and closer.
Your parliament is fighting with each other most days of the week. I mean, you yourself have suffered from this.
So me myself, I was also influenced by this harassment. Well, this is a democracy. I mean, you see in North Korea, there are no protests, and the parliament most probably will be peaceful. But this is all the beauty of the democracy, that everyone is able to speak out and voice out. And one of the core achievements of Georgian Dream was the free and fair election. So in our democratic values, we have achieved that we have free and fair election, and election is the demonstration of the majority, who are the majority and what they are voicing for.
Your Prime Minister has spoken of a global war party. What is a global war party? What is it?
Well, this is something which, I mean, do you believe about Masons, right? They're Masons.
Speak about what, sorry?
Masons.
Freemasons.
Freemasons, for instance.
Right.
Those like who we were hearing about them for decades, and who we were seeing that they do have the influence on world politics and everything. Today, when me myself, I am involved in foreign relations, and sometimes when I have the partnership, and then they say that, well, you are okay and you are doing well, but then there is additional voice.
So wait, sorry. So you think What are the Freemasons doing? You think the Freemasons are
I
manipulating
mean,
a global
I'm just
war?
comparing it as a personality. Like me personally, I'm comparing to it like Freemasons who
Okay.
are like a separate standing power who we do not know in person, right?
So
I
who
mean,
else?
this
So
is-
the Freemasons, who else are there in the global? Because it can't just be the Masons. I mean, who else?
yeah, I mean, Masons who are having the influence, right? And we acknowledge that they do have the influence on world politics. So it's kind of a similar power. Who
Who?
are?
I mean, who else other than the Masons are part of the global war party?
Well, I don't know, but this is something which
Your Prime Minister's spoken of it. Your Prime Minister's accused the global war party of manipulating the EU and the United States. So they must
who
be
are
very
having the
powerful.
influence. Yeah, who are
So
having
who
the
are they
influence
then?
in. I do not know in person, but there is additional power who are having this influence.
With respect, I mean, if your Prime Minister is accusing people and, there be a shadowy organisation which is concocting war on a global scale, which is affecting the EU, an organisation you hope to join, don't you think we ought to know who he means?
Yes, definitely. And we have the officials who are. This is also kind of a messaging them.
Who?
Like we are messaging whoever they are. But we
But who
see.
are they? I mean, this sounds like the politics of conspiracy.
Conspiracy, yeah, we can name it as a conspiracy.
So you think there's a conspiracy which is concocting global war at the moment, or forcing the West into a war?
We've seen this as an evidence.
Isn't it
We've
Russia
seen the
who is
Maidan.
creating global war?
Definitely, they do have this influence as well.
So the Russians are being influenced by them as well?
I mean, I do not know exactly, because I do not know exactly who the personality they are meaning, but not to consider it as a conspiracy, but as a power who at the end of the day are having the influence. Because otherwise, if you consider that there is a merit-based decision and you are on the like a front runner in all those merit-based activities
Man, do
and
you really
indicators.
believe? You used to work at the World Bank. Do you really believe any of this stuff? You
I
used to work at the World
Bank, and I truly believe about. I mean, it's not about. I am kind of going aside to all the international partners. I have to reiterate our thankfulness and appreciation, and I do hope. And my daily work is also to raise the funding. And I used to raise the funds from our partners. I have raised more than 15 million US dollar from the partners, and I will be continuing this way. And we have seen the partners. We see also that, for instance, why the issue came and what was the key challenge of raising this law?
Right,
Because there
isn't
was
it
the
true?
issue
Look,
about the transparency.
Isn't the truth, to be honest, that your party is and your Prime Minister and your billionaire backer are concocting these conspiracy theories about a global war party to try and buttress yourself in power, to try and say to your own population, these people are coming for you and we're going to protect you from them. It's a story as old as the hills. But you can't even name who these people are, who are in this global war party. So it sounds like it's totally made up.
No, this is not made up. This is about the facts, and this is about the evidences.
But there's no evidence. I've just asked you to name who they are, and you can't say who they are apart from maybe some Freemasons.
Evidence from the decision wise.
But the decision. But you talking about the Ukraine war, for example, I assume.
Yeah.
So we know why the Ukraine war started. Russia invaded Ukraine
Yes.
in an unprovoked way.
Yes.
Totally unprovoked.
Absolutely. And we have been in war with Russia for
Indeed, many
centuries.
years. Yeah.
And it was not when we were in a war with Russia, third or 10 times already in our history, when we were raising the flag. By that time, the whole Western world was being refreshing the relations with Russia.
Yes.
And they were thinking that it was about our bilateral relation with
But
Russia.
then why not just blame Russia? Why blame the
We are
global war
blaming
party?
Russia. I mean, what to blame more when you put this in your constitution? In our constitution, one of the first
But
resolutions
then why bring the
which we
global
have
war
received-
party into it? This made-up thing. Why bring them
I mean,
into it?
for instance, like I was receiving the arguments from some of the my friends who might be standing outside today that why don't you list down the Russia or any other country or Iran, because we are in a very threatening geopolitical situation, right? Why don't you name Russia as a key target for these activities? And if you name Russia, And you think that if Russia wants to influence in our country, they will be coming with a Russian name? No. And we see also the activities in Finland that majority of the Russian influence is run by the German company names. And this is true. I mean, enemy will never. Of course, Russia
So
has.
do you think Russia is responsible for misinformation? Because we've spoken to lots of people here who think that Russia is flooding Georgia with misinformation on a daily basis.
Absolutely.
So you would agree with that?
Yeah, Russia is spreading. With Russia, we do not only have the direct war, but we have the information war, which is more, and this is one of the direction which I was leading on cyber activities, and Britain was very supportive in that direction.
The opposition.
Russia is making the it's a sandbox for them. They are testing out some of the activities and replicating to the Western world.
The opposition wants the West to sanction the Prime Minister here and his allies. What would your response be if the West decided to do that?
I think this is also already a bad thing when your local citizen is lobbying for sanctioning their own prime minister. This is one. When you see also in with the support of the same law of FARA of US, when you see that former president's mother is contracting a lobbyist company to lobby not to give status for our country and giving $1 million US for this contract, this is a shame. And I'm very shameful for all of those who are lobbying, sanctioning, first of all, their own country and decreasing the reputation of our country.
Well, they say it's because he's undermining Georgian democracy.
Undermining the undermining democracy, and also we see also the organizers who are running. I mean, if we collect 10 people or 20 people, if we do not have a leader who is facilitating, we will be a mess. You agree with that?
No, I don't. I can imagine that those things could easily spontaneously happen.
Spontaneous. And if you also see some of the
the Arab Spring, did someone lead that?
Or the TikTok recording.
So again,
do
you think someone is manipulating these people?
Absolutely. I mean,
what's your evidence for that?
I mean, I was looking at the protest the other day, and I was looking to the guy.
But maybe they're just authentic. Maybe they're real. Maybe they just don't like you.
They are real. But then there are the leaders who are facilitating, and these leaders became the ones who are the youth wave lead of the parties. I mean, some of them do not recognize because they are not in politics. But for instance, if I know who is the chair of the Lelos youth wing, I know who is the teasing these young leaders to shout out Russian law or to shout anything. And then also the ones who are speaking out in TikTok, who are kind of in a mess, they also notice that there are some of the leaders who are manipulating, those who do not like politicians standing on the
I would say
scene.
that one of the things, just finally, one of the things strikes me about what you're saying is, I mean, in a democracy, surely a government has to try and listen
Absolutely.
to its citizens. And you say, it seems to me you're just constantly taking the easy way out. Instead of engaging with these people and actually listening to their concerns, you say they're being manipulated from abroad by Masons, by people here.
We will be having a
massive
series of the meetings and dialogue in the public broadcasting, where we'll be talking with the people, those who just do not have the stigmatization, and we'll just, if you make a dialogue with a person and who is just repeating Russian law, there is no worse to have a dialogue, because it will never happen, right? Those who have the arguments and those who will be raising the issue about the arguments, we are very open. We are very open, and we are very much looking forward to Venice Commission decision about the concrete judiciary recommendations on it. So we're very open. I'll be also happy to talk, and I'll be meeting the startuppers in the TV broadcaster, where we'll be discussing the essentials of the law and the essentials of the democratic values.
The Newsagents. This is a Global Player original podcast.